everybody. Welcome back to yet another edition of the Powerful Stream here on the Kids Sure You Can channel. I am your host, Jim, as always, and with me today we have in Morgantown, West Virginia. You know him as the RPG Machine 86. I know him simply as Friend. We have Andrew with us. Andrew,
Hey, how's
say
it
hello.
going, everybody?
Andrew, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic today.
Excellent. I see your beard is in epic form today.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
We always appreciate it. I know you get it nice and groomed before we go live, so
Oh, I definitely do. Comb
I
it.
want you to know how much we appreciate that. Way down in Panama City, we have the most famous pro wrestler in all of Panama. He is the Forger of Pain and an all-around nice guy. Carcamo is with us.
What's up, my little beauties? How are you? And welcome to the Powerful Stream. I'm here with my friends, of course, Kid Shoryuken. We have RPG Machine 86, my man Andrew, and Stephen is here accompanying us, and of course, our big-ass guest, Corey Marshall, best known as the voice of Ryo Hazuki, but okay, I'm going to shut up now because I'm not the host. But you know, I get excited about this. And anyway, thank you guys, and let's move on.
Yes, let's do. As he said, coming in beautiful, sunny, warm San Diego, California, we have the mouthpiece of the Hate Bit podcast. He is Yell Chaos. Thank you for being here, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm just wanted to inform you it's like 41 degrees outside, so sunny, warm my dick. Oh, and I feel terrible because Andrew's paycheck bounced.
Shit. Man can't catch a break.
It's okay.
Also, as Carcamo mentioned, we have a huge, epic special guest with us tonight. You may know him best as the voice of Ryo Hazuki in the Shenmue series of games. The epic, awesome, super great beard and mustache, by the way. Mr. Corey Marshall is here with us. Hello, Corey.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We know you've got I'm assuming you have kind of a busy schedule. You got a lot of stuff announced that you're working on, or at least one huge, massive thing. So we really appreciate you coming to do this. I know you're pretty prevalent at doing stuff like this for fans, podcasts. You've done some stuff with Adam Karalik, which is very cool. So we really do appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. We have some topics to discuss. We have some questions to ask, so let's go. And also, you people watching live right now, in the comments section, I can see you in there. You're very active right now. Go ahead, leave your comments, and leave your questions as well, because we'd love to answer them. Anyway, I want to go ahead and get started. Now, obviously, last year, E3, Shenmue 3 gets announced. Now, Corey, last time we talked, it was a couple of years ago, and we were talking about kind of like the pipe dream of, like, wouldn't it be cool if someday there was a Shenmue 3? Wouldn't that be awesome? But what the hell are the chances of that happening? But if such a thing did happen, wouldn't it be super cool if you got called back to, you were recast as Ryo? And this was all like these hypotheticals we were just pulling out of the air. Now, there is a Shenmue 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, the fastest growing, most successful Kickstarter ever, and you've been called back to once again provide the voice for Ryo Hazuki. How were you notified of that? Did like some person call you from some representative at Sega at like 3 in the morning calls you, we need your services again, Corey? Like how did that come about? How did you find out that you are once again playing your most famous role?
Yeah, it didn't really come in a self-destruct message or anything like that. Indeed, somebody from the Yu Suzuki team ended up contacting me through some of my usual channels. It came through an email, probably through a Facebook or something like that. It's probably pretty easy to look me up that way. And so I got the initial email, and we made contact that way. And it's fun. I've told this story a couple of times, but I remember hearing about it because I was bringing my daughter home, and I think it was from school or something like that, and I had my phone in my pocket, and so suddenly it starts going off. It starts going ping, 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 and I'm like, I know some of those are emails. I'm hearing the different different tones and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, some of those are Twitter, some of those are, oh man, what's going on? Oh, okay, something's going on. And yeah, so my wife had her iPad, and she met me at the door, and she goes, "Did you hear?" And I looked at her, and I was like, "Is it about Shenmue, maybe?" And she goes, "Yeah, Shenmue 3." So I kind of knew something was going on when every tenth of a second my phone started to go ping, 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 ping. So yeah, so the initial news came from my wife, who I think the same thing happened to her. All of her social media started exploding as well, and I think she was just a little bit overwhelmed by everything. She kind of had this iPad looking at me with a wide eye, because yeah, I was going to say all the things that I do. Shenmue is the one where all you guys are on social media all the time. And as you know, we correspond. I correspond with you guys and fans, and all you guys who do all the great work that you do out there. So that's when most of my stuff comes alive is Shenmue. So I knew it. I knew something big was happening.
I think that's pretty hilarious that like thousands upon thousands of people know when you have a job before you do.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think almost everybody knew it. Probably 500,000 people knew it before I did, right?
They felt like they had a job. They were like, yes!
Well, shit, man. Times are tough,
You have to. You guys have to go play Shenmue 3 and find all the secrets and tell me about it because, man, you guys find it all.
So, I don't know if you're even allowed to talk about this, but do you know anything yet about when you're scheduled to actually start working on this, or?
No, there hasn't been any. The content that we've had has been talking about. Basically about the Kickstarter campaign and things like that, about some of the things that I was going to do for the Kickstarter campaign, and I was offering up some of my services for extra prizes and things like that. So mostly our contact has been about stuff like that. They do very much appreciate, of course, the things that I do with you guys and all that kind of stuff, and they said, "Oh, that's great." But as far as what's going on in the project, I know at this point they are now that they've got all their money and they've done all some of their other campaigns and things like that. I know that they've really put their heads down and they've really gotten to work, and they've, as you know, they've put out some things for us to view already, some teasers and stuff like that, which is really great. And I know that they've really kind of ducked down and kind of gone out of sight for a little while, and I haven't actually heard from them in a little while now. Gosh, it's been... I can't even remember actually the last time I spoke to them, because I know they are busy creating the game, and I'm not sure. See, this is where I'm not actually sure yet if they're going to complete a Japanese version first before they even get to this, or if it's going to be vice versa or simultaneous or not. And I think some of the other questions that we have as well about some of the returning cast, whether that's going to happen, because we have people in Singapore, we have people in Japan, we have people here in the States as well. So that's another question that we have, whether it's going to be...
I was just going to ask that because when they announced that they were recasting you, correct me if I'm wrong, they also announced that they were going to be recasting a number of the other original voice actors and actresses, right?
Last time that I spoke to all of my friends over there, for example, like Eric Kelso, who played major roles, and Paul Lucas, who plays Landy, and Chai, and all these other characters. They have not been confirmed as of yet. And so, and Liesl Wilkerson, gosh, she plays like every major female in there as well, and 12 other characters. But I'm letting people know, I'm letting all the Shenmue fans know that if you do want these people back, that you should definitely voice your opinion, because frankly, I think that's how they contacted me so quickly, because when all the explosion happened, it was like, yes, Shenmue's happening, and Corey Marshall's coming back, right? So that was like the second question that everybody had. So when everybody started talking about that, I think they ended up contacting me almost immediately because the response was so quick and so strong. So if you guys want to see, for example, Eric Kelso back, who is a fantastic voice actor and people love him as well, if you want to see these people back, let it be known, because let's face it, I think Shenmue fans can get anything done that they want at this point. So
yeah, I think that's pretty apparent now. Just a third game, and like you said, there was pretty high demand to have you back because you're the voice of that character. It's pretty iconic. So I don't think anybody would want to hear a different voice coming out of Ryo. We are going to move on to some questions and things we have from the viewers. First, I wanted to bring up something that actually Mr. Chaos had a few things to say about earlier. He was kind of critical of this. Recently, there was, and this was within the past month or so, kind of a Dreamcast 2 hoax. Some pictures were posted, some details and fake details and things like that. There was kind of like a strong reaction. People were pretty excited. They were like, oh my god, a Dreamcast 2, is Sega going to start making consoles again? And then in pretty short order, it was shown to be totally fallacious. It's completely a hoax. Mr. Chaos, what were your thoughts on that hoax thing from a month or so ago?
Well, it was one of the worst distributed hoaxes I'd ever seen. I was on my iPad, and I was looking at the new Apple News, available at apple.com. And I found out that this Dreamcast 2 thing is a complete hoax. And I says, oh, well, that's too bad. And then I strummed after a couple of articles to find out that there's a Dreamcast 2 coming out. So I was completely lost in the whole thing. I looked back, and it seemed like this hoax went on for like 7 hours. That's not a hoax. That's barely a parlor trick. I just want to throw that out there. That's not a hoax. That was an amateur hoax.
Short-lived hoax, but within that 7 hours, there was buzz, man. People reacted pretty strongly. People were digging it.
Well, when I heard of it, I didn't bought it, because I mean, that would be cool, of course, like Dreamcast 2. But I knew it was something, it was something shady. And yeah, I also, when I found out, I mean, it wasn't like everybody found out it was a hoax, but like really I found out like within the hour, like, oh, it's a hoax. And I'm like, yeah, I knew it. At the beginning, I thought that like the Dreamcast 2 was gonna be like maybe something like a spiritual successor, and it might not be called that way. It was gonna be something like the Retron 5. That was the first thing that I thought was gonna be. Then I found out like, nope, it's a hoax. So yeah, well, bummer, I guess.
I don't know. It kind of raises a question. I don't know, at least for me, because there was at least a positive enough reaction. People seemed excited enough until it became pretty apparent that it was just made up nonsense. Would it even be feasible? Because with fan support, there's a new Shenmue, which is something that's been dead as long as the Dreamcast has been dead. Is it even feasible for there to be another Sega console, like, ever? Andrew, potentially?
I don't think so, man, because they'd be better off to just not lose all that money.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Like, they would lose a lot of money doing that. It probably wouldn't be the best. It would probably kill Sega forever. So probably no.
Potentially, but I don't know. My thought is that, okay, if they can take a franchise like Shenmue that's been dead for, or at least presumed dead for a good 14, 15 years, and then they just kind of announce, just out of thin air, with no real build-up, hey, there's going to be a third game, and then immediately millions of dollars are just thrown at them. to get it done. I mean, do you think that's significant that there
Well,
might be?
to be fair, you saying that it's dead is like not for the fans that like love that game, and that's why it's getting made now is because there were people out there that still cared enough. Like I don't know. That's
Quite a
just
lot.
my.
Do you think
Jim,
those same? Go ahead, Clark.
I'm sorry, Jim. I was gonna say real quick that, I mean, you're right because yes, it was without some sort of like marketing or any hype. It was out of the blue. I was there. I was at E3, and I was the conference was going on, and all of a sudden they were talking about Shenmue 3, and that was one of the first moments at the conference when I was like, oh my god, and really I became like a little girl, like oh my god, and I was like, oh my god, yes, yes, and it was about freaking time. But yes, that's the thing you're saying that out of the blue, and everybody like supported it. And because I mean, Shenmue has like a really big following, and I mean it was about time. But this proves like you don't need to have like that hype or that. I mean, it does help to have the hype in the marketing, but it's not like necessary. And this proves it. The Kickstarter when it was successful.
Righto. So there's a
So,
market. There's just a question of how big it is. Yes, Corey.
if there were a Dreamcast or a new console, what would it have to look like in order for people to buy it? What would it have to be? What would it have to? It would have to be better than the others in some way. So what would that?
You would have to
What
promise
would
them
that look like?
everything and cost nothing.
Yes, that's a good point. Promise everything.
That's all anybody wants. They want everything, and they want it for free, and they want it yesterday.
That's a good point. It is hard to think of what could they do to get a leg up on Nintendo and Sony. I don't think, at least in Japan, they're not going to really have much issue with Microsoft because Microsoft here is like it's pretty much dead on arrival. Nobody seems to care. But at least in this country, they would have a lot of competition with Sony and Nintendo, and then with all three outside of Japan. So that's a good question. Something that somebody else isn't already doing. Be kind of tough.
I kind of feel like it would have to be a not just a game console. I'd almost feel like it would have to be a whole complete Android that could vacuum your carpet and keep you warm at night, and could play video games on its naked body as well.
That would see. I think I could get into that. I think if we could have some kind of Ex Machina Dreamcast.
Yes. That goes along with the name Dreamcast, right?
It is worth mentioning that Apple is like this close to that very same thing. So then now you have competition to worry about.
Well, Apple doesn't have Sonic the Hedgehog. If I can play Sonic the Hedgehog inside my naked lover's torso.
Oh yeah. Super
This went
exclusive
so
Sonic
far.
the Hedgehog, the guy that showed up on the Nokia N-Gage. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, man. All I'm saying is, I think Corey's onto
There's a
something.
game I forget.
If you want to compete, PS4s and Xbox Ones and Wii U's and whatever the hell Nintendo's got coming next, they've got all kinds of bells and whistles. You cannot. Well, you could take it to bed with you if you wanted to, but it's not going to be very cuddly. It's not really going to give you the affection you need. If Sega can somehow come up with a video game console that has really great, IPs on it and super fun to play, but it'll also make you breakfast and it'll cuddle up to you at night and give you a back rub every once in a while. I think that is how they're going to take a significant portion of the market share. Out of the mind.
Kid, maybe you should put the glass down. It really seems like it's about that time.
I promise, it's just Coke. It really.
Yeah. That's what Lemmy said.
Oh well.
No, but
Lemmy can do what Lemmy wants, and if you're drawing comparisons between me and Lemmy, I appreciate that. Okay. We do have the chat is very active right now. We're going to take a look for some questions here. One that I did see, fellow BioPhoenix has a question for you, Corey. He wants to know if you have any particular favorite line or favorite delivery in the Shenmue games that you've done.
It's funny. I get that question all the time, and I always try to think back to the to the lines about his destiny and his quest for revenge, and it's all about like sailors and stuff like that, right? But
Yeah.
really, what's kind of become my call line with, I mean, with all the stuff that I've been doing, the promotions on Kickstarter and stuff like that. Really, I should just get a T-shirt that says "Let's get sweaty,"
Yes.
because basically that's kind of become my line. You know what I mean? So I
I
think
do.
that's it. That's got to be it right there. Let's get sweaty.
That's a fantastic one. I always enjoyed your very simple responses. Like somebody could go through a long like diatribe or say something like, "This guy's a killer, isn't he?" You like, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Those are my favorites. The
Hey, Corey,
sweaty.
you don't mind? I'm sorry, Corey, you don't mind if I quote you on that one? Before I get it on with my girl, like, let's get sweaty.
Yeah, you can borrow that if you want, dude. Only if you give her the eye and the tongue, just like you did. That was great.
Oh yeah, I will.
Oh, he always gives them the eye and the tongue. Don't you worry
Yeah,
about that.
he can hardly keep that thing in his mouth. It's got him out of quite a few traffic tickets, if I'm not mistaken.
My bad.
You know this is like how people get restraining orders, right?
Hey, man. I'm on the other side of the world. That would have to be one hell of a restraining order. All right?
All right, all right. Yeah, you guys don't even have copyright, so what am I talking about?
That's right.
Yeah, man, we're pretty free here in Panama.
Okay.
Well, anyway, you know what? I saw a question that I thought was appropriate. Mr. Marshall, what is your favorite role outside of the Shenmue series in your entire acting career?
Oh man.
Stole my
Please take
damn
your time.
question.
You can twiddle your mustache if you'd like. That always looks like good thinking action.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should have
Well,
a
I
pipe
kind
right now.
yeah, I should. I kind of do this stroking action here. Yeah, it's kind of my thing. Let's see. I believe it or not, I really enjoy doing stage acting, and I've done a lot of that ever since I was a kid. And I know it's a lot of stuff that just maybe seems old and stuffy, and people don't know, maybe people don't like it nowadays. But I love doing Shakespeare and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I love doing that kind of thing. I love Hamlet, and I love Romeo and Juliet and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Well,
Is that
that's absolutely
any kind
okay.
of answer?
Now, did you play in any particular Shakespearean character at any time throughout your career?
Moving on from it's funny. I was just thinking about some more of the live stage stuff that I did, and I'm trying to think of something that people would know. And actually, I did a live stunt show over at the Six Flags Magic Mountain, not too far from where I live now, actually. And I actually played Ducard, everybody knows, the Batman series, Liam Neeson's character Ducard. I played him. And that was great, man, because there was fire and explosions and fight scenes and all that kind of stuff. So that was fun. People know Ducard, and so that's something that I played recently, and I enjoyed doing that.
Well, that's great.
That was hard work, though, man. It's hard work.
I would imagine so. Now? How many nights a week did you do that? You don't mind my asking.
Well, there were two casts. There was a weekday cast and there was a weekend cast, and I was fortunate enough to be on the weekend cast. That does mean I worked only 3 days. I did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But during that time, we did it all day. So basically, we start in the afternoon and went into the evening until the park closed.
Oh, absolutely. Like a kind of job like that, I'm sure the strain it took on your body, just the strain it took on your body alone was 7 days worth of work.
Yeah, so I mean, I did go in there weighing about 190 pounds, and then I left the park weighing about 170.
Oh, goodness.
And it's all just water that poured out of my body, but yeah. That was actually a lot of fun, and part of it is that I had such a great cast, and I think that's one reason. There's a lot of really great theater people out there, so if people are listening, do some theater, man. It's great work, and it's really rewarding, and that was yeah, talk about let's get sweaty. That was a sweaty job, but it was fun.
I think if somebody knows a little something about theater, it's probably Carcamo, because I've been to a couple of wrestling shows recently. A lot of theater
It's
involved.
a sport, goddammit! Don't call it theater. I'll kick you in the nuts.
It is
Thank-
it's yes,
thank you.
legitimate sport of pro wrestling. No, I've been to a couple of shows recently. Actually, a spot I was talking about earlier. I want to know if Carcamo, if you're going to do this spot. I told everyone that there was a wrestler there by the name of Joey Ryan. His most famous bit that he does in the middle of a match now is that his opponent will grab just a handful of genitalia and squeeze in an effort to make him, submit, and then he kind of like muscles out of it and then does like a quick twist movement. And with the power and the strength in his cock, kind of flips his opponent over. It's like a arm drag takeover with his penis, and I just want to know if Carcamo has been considering adding that to his repertoire.
I mean, I could pull it off because I mean,
Well, they
my,
could pull.
my,
They
yeah, I mean,
could. They were doing the pulling there, buddy.
Yeah.
well, you know what I mean. My
But,
genitalia.
Yes, there will be no more genitalia and pulling it off in the same paragraph.
But anyway, I'm not gonna do it. I'm working on something with my tongue, so just keep it
I
at
was
that.
just about to say,
Oh,
I was just about to say that. He could flip with his tongue.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Is that what you're gonna do?
I mean, I'm working on something. It's a secret. You'll have to see it.
I can only imagine.
You'll have to see it only on pay-per-view.
Actually, I don't want to imagine. Never mind. Get that out of there. Go away. Bad thoughts. Okay. But yeah, I
man,
do want to see it eventually.
They have some great stuff. In fact, just recently, actually, it's been a couple years now that I think about it. But I saw Lucha Vavoom here in L.A. And if anybody is listening in L.A., you have to go see that show. There's some great stuff happening in that show.
I'd love to see a lucha show. Some people are are trying to name that move now, the dick move. Someone said the pole flip. Some other things. It has an official name now. It's called the Magic
the pole
Johnson.
vault, right?
The Magic Johnson.
It's the Magic Johnson. That's the name.
Oh man.
As
Wait,
voted
does that
on-
mean that he's also HIV positive, or?
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Come on, how could you, man? How could
Hey,
you?
nobody watching the show has any fucking idea who Magic Johnson is. Get off me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We have fans from the '80s here, I'm sure.
Absolutely. We have some people.
Yeah, but they love Judge Reinhold. They don't give a shit about Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
Fucking Judge Reinhold. You pulled that one. Okay. We have some more questions coming in from the chat. These are directed at you, Corey. People want to know if you yourself are a gamer, and if so, like, favorite Sega game, favorite Sega character. It's all Sega-related stuff, but just generally, do you game, Corey?
Yeah, I sure do. You know, I know this is going to be disappointing for some fans out there, but when me and my friends had systems, my friend he was the one that had the Sega system, and so I ended up deciding to buy the PlayStation at that time. So I had a PlayStation and I played PlayStation games, and yeah, man, I'm a RPG guy.
Yes.
Final Fantasy was on there.
I knew
So
I
played
liked
Final
you.
Fantasy. And so yeah, those are the kind of games that I like. Those are the kinds of games that I play. And we would switch back and forth. We'd go to each other's house and play. And yeah, man, I played his system. Ninja Gaiden and of course Sonic and all that stuff we played on his system. So yeah, I ended up getting the PlayStation. And it's funny because that's why I got it, because my friend had the Sega. So.
Nothing wrong with that. We're all confirmed PlayStation enthusiasts here. Though we do still have a lot of love for Sega on this show. Not to be mistaken. I think it's fair to say that we're all collectors and we all like to stay on top of our Sega stuff.
Yes.
You know, it's funny when they gave me a Dreamcast when I was cast for the role. I was actually pretty amazed at how great the Dreamcast was. I was like, wow, this is a great system, and I love the control. It had the little window in the middle. It had special information on the window, or even like you'd be playing the character on the game, and the character would appear on there doing other things as well. And I thought, wow, that's great. And I remember it connected to the internet, and systems before weren't doing that. And I thought, wow, this is great. So when I got the Dreamcast, I thought it was a great system. So
I did as well. The VMUs, because at the time I think Tamagotchis were kind of popular, which was something I always frowned upon. I thought Tamagotchis were lame. But then when I could take my VMU to school and I had my little Street Fighter mini game on it, done. I was like, this is my new official favorite thing ever. Some people want to know, since you said you did like RPGs, Final Fantasy, Kenshiro Online, who's a regular viewer of these streams, he wants to know if I have a personal favorite Final Fantasy, or maybe even if some RPG outside of Final Fantasy, if you have a favorite in particular.
Yeah, that's wow, that's a good question.
Because I know PlayStation 7 was the big one that got everybody.
That was the monster one that everybody loved.
Got everybody too.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I thought that was good, but I guess I just liked the storyline. I think when the numbers were different for us than they were over there. I think the one that they gave us here was Final Fantasy III. It was the one with Kefka.
Yes.
And and that I love that storyline. And for me, the age that I was, and I remember just everything about that, the book, the art, the story, the gameplay itself. That for me, I think, was probably my favorite.
Awesome. So there you go, Kenshiro Online. His favorite Final Fantasy is 3 for us American types, or 6 if you're Japanese, not 7.
Because
okay.
it's got good taste.
Good taste, yeah. Most people are almost everybody says 7. Some people will say 8 or 9 to be kind of like trendy. But
people that would say 8 are wrong, though.
Yeah, they are wrong. I mean, I think
they are wrong.
Statistically show that that's not as good of a game as 6 or 7 or 4. All right.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to just ask you quickly because I'm going to throw it to Karkamo and I'm going to throw it to Andrew, who've got a few things for you. It was announced that there's going to be a Project Cross Zone 2, I believe it is. If you're not familiar, Project Cross Zone is a series of RPGs that crosses Namco, Capcom, and Sega properties. It was recently announced that they're going to be adding Ryo to the cast of Project Cross Zone. Are you familiar? Are you hopeful that you're going to be? If it does get localized for English speakers, hopefully that's just one more instance of that you get to play that character. But have you heard of this yet?
I actually heard of it. No, this will be the first time that I've heard of it is through you. So I remember there has been talk about this before. I remember that he even crossed characters before, and what was the racing game that they did, and they had the Hazuki character in there with.
Yes, which they used your previously recorded stuff for, right?
Yeah, they sure did. They used my martial art kias for the race, which I thought was hilarious.
Well, this might be one more thing on your docket, sir. They've added Ryo to the cast of Cross Zone 2, so fingers crossed that gets localized.
Okay. And, yeah, let's do it. I want to see that. It's great.
That's more of that character. Okay.
So I wonder, actually, I was wondering if the previous recordings are in the possession of Yu's team, right? Or is that the property of Sega? So if there were another game to come out, would they have to record me, or would they somehow use my previous voice if they have access to that, if they have the right?
Presumably, because these cross-zone games are RPGs. I've played the first one. They're fairly long games. You can play them for up to 100 hours, and there is a considerable amount of dialogue, and it's all voiced. So I think I don't think they're going to be able to pull that much, dialogue just from what you've previously recorded. I don't think they'd be able to make that all applicable to what's going
Sure.
on in these games, because these games have very large plots. It takes a whole lot of exposition basically to explain why you have all of these characters commingling.
So do you think that Ryo Hazuki might actually be a larger character that a person could actually probably play, or that he would just be in the game?
No, I believe what they're saying is that he's going to be one of the playable characters. It's essentially it amalgamates lots and lots of characters from lots of different properties from all three companies, and you build like your teams. It's like a strategy RPG. So essentially, you're building little armies out of all these various characters, and they definitely find a place for each one to play in the overall story of the games. So
it's fantasy football for
yeah, kind of.
for fans of these, right? Yeah, well, let's do it. Shit, I'll do it.
Hey, that was the first thing that came to mind when I saw that they're like Ryo Hazuki announced for the next Project Cross Zone. I was like, sweet, that's one more thing on Corey's to-do list.
All right.
I'm gonna throw it to Karkamo. Karkamo has some questions burning inside of him right now. Karkamo, let her rip, bud.
Okay, I know you probably get this a lot, Corey, but still I'm curious, and I know a lot of our viewers are curious. Like, how did you get started in Shenmue? And it was like a double whammy question. And the other one, can you tell us how was it work? How was the workflow with Sega in the first Shenmue game? So how was it?
Yeah. So, as I previously kind of stated a little bit, I've been in the business, the acting business and all that kind of stuff for, a long time. I started out doing stage work. I still do that stuff. And I had done it all. I did modeling, and I did TV. Film down in Texas, where I was living at the time, started to really take off. They did the stuff with Chuck Norris. What was it, Lone Star, or what was it?
Texas Ranger?
Yeah, Texas Ranger, and they did the Rough Riders down there about Teddy Roosevelt, and films down there started to take off, so I started doing those kinds of things. And as I started getting older, I wanted to continue doing live theater, but I was in high school at the time, and I thought, okay, well, I could do theater, I could do musical theater, or maybe I could do dance. And I kind of looked at colleges and stuff, and I realized that the field in musical theater was even theater itself was gigantic. There was just so many people, hundreds of thousands of people, literally, applying for these things. And I had taken some dance lessons before, and I was the only dude in the class, like the only guy.
Wow.
And I said, it might actually be easier for me to do some dance. So I looked at it, and the field was much thinner. So I started taking dance more seriously, started taking ballet and modern dance and that kind of stuff, and ended up getting in college, getting a scholarship, and that's how I moved to New York. So I was in New York doing, I was getting my bachelor's in fine arts in dance. And I was auditioning at the same time in New York City. And there was the Backstage publication, which is stuff for actors, well, all kinds of people in the business, even people who were, doing things behind the scenes, people who need to do, everything, film, theater, and all that stuff. And there was a very small square little ad that they took out, and it said, need voiceover to work in Japan for 3 to 4 months. And I looked at it and I said, I want to live in Japan, so why not? And so I had never done voiceover before in my life, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of stupidly went and auditioned for it because I figured, why not? And when I went in, everything was very, I don't know if you know, I'm sure a lot of people know a lot about Japanese culture, but it's very precise, and just everything kind of has its place, and everything is. So it was very almost lonely. You know, I kind of went into the dark room with the microphone and everything, and I was by myself and didn't really get a whole lot of direction or anything. And I read the lines. I only read a few lines, and you know, there's the small little window in the soundproof box, and there's a little bobbing head on the other side, and they said, "Okay, thank you." And I thought, "Oh, do you need me to do anything else? I could do a different voice. I mean, I just used my own voice. I did. You want me to do a character voice?" And they said, you know, a little pause. No, thank you. Oh, okay, great. I blew it. Fine, forget it. I'm going home. I didn't know what I was doing anyway, so I guess I'll just forget about this audition. It never happened. And 2 days later, they called me back, wanted me to do it again, and brought me in. It's very same process. Like almost nobody's there. You didn't see anybody. Go into this room again, and they said, "What you did last time was really good. The character is just a little bit young. He's only in his teens, you know, maybe 18. Could you bring up the pitch of your voice just a little bit?" I said, "Yeah, sure, okay." And so I did it again, and you know, I just thought about the character. I thought what was going on in his life. His father just died. He's on this revenge quest. I mean, they gave me that story synopsis. You could read what was happening in the script, and so I just kind of I just had this idea in my mind about a very disciplined young Japanese man who, you know, had studied martial art his entire life through his family, and his father was a master, and I just kind of thought about that character, you know, and I did it. I did it just how people hear Hazuki on the game. And again, they said, "Okay, thank you." You know, like zero feedback, like nothing. Like I don't know. I don't know. Am I doing it right? Am I okay? I get. Oh, all right, fine, great, thanks. And again, it was really fast. It was the following week, but it was only maybe 2 or 3 days later. It had happened on the weekend, I think, the second time. Anyway, and yeah, I got a call from a guy, actually, a guy that was working with Sega. And he was an American guy, and he said, "Hey, bad news, you have to leave the States, and you have to go live in Japan for a couple months." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, all right." He's like, "Yeah, you got the part, great.
Funny
See
definition
you
of
there."
fast.
Exactly. And that's how it was. It was very, you know, during an
Wow.
audition, it's very, they, you know, there you get to work with people, you see people. First of all, they give you what you want, and if you do it wrong, you can talk to them and be like, "Do you want crazy, or do you want you know, do you want chai, or do you want," you know what I mean? Like you can talk to these people. But for me, that audition was very just, I don't know, like it was either they wanted my voice or they didn't. So they just liked me for whatever reason. They liked my timbre, or they liked the way that I thought of Ryo, or you know what I mean? They just, for whatever reason, took a liking to me and didn't ask me to do anything. So that's it. That I just went in there, I did what I thought was right, and they liked it.
That's like the perfect job. Your boss really likes you, doesn't want you to do it. Mr. Chaos, you had a comment there, sir?
I was just saying, that's the American dream. Sit there, don't do anything. Money.
Yay.
Yep.
So that's it. You're living the American dream, sir. That's very awesome.
I don't know. I mean, Mr. Marshall here is getting to be my hero the more I hear these stories. I want to do that. I want to live this life, and I want a mustache just like that.
Well, I think it's safe to say we all do. If I could, I'd be rocking that mustache myself. I guess Karkamo's append to that question was, how did you enjoy that time working at Sega?
Yeah. So second part, and again, you know, that audition process. I mean, you know, they just took care of everything for me. basically I just need to sign on the dotted line. I don't even know what it is, but I guess it was all okay. You know what I mean? Like they took care of everything. They took care of my plane. They took care of all of my paperwork, all of my tax or the work permit and tax, and like they just took care of everything. When I got there the first time I worked there, they set me up in the Sheraton, and I could have free food there. I had all the entertainment I could possibly want on the television, and I got my clothes taken care of for me, and that was part of the deal. The second time I went there, they gave me an apartment, which was even more awesome. And when I showed up, I was like, great, this is cool. I guess I'm going to need to get a mattress, a trash can, maybe some plates. And then suddenly a whole crew of people start piling in with everything that you could possibly imagine, pots and pans, and, just filled up my cabinets and, put a bed and sheets and pillows. And I was like, oh, great, I'm covered. Sweet.
Birds
All
just
right.
come in with
Don't
rose
need any-
petals and just throw rose petals all over the room.
But and then when I get there, they set me up with a console. They gave me the game. I know when I've told people this before, they flipped their lid. But they gave me a Japanese version of the game that was subbed in English, so I could play the Japanese game
Awesome.
and read the English at the bottom.
That's freaking
And
awesome.
yeah, I know some people were saying, hey, they could re-release that and make even more money because people would want the Japanese version and the English version. You could get the Japanese version with the English sub. Or maybe we could just send it to Japan with English sub and Japanese, or with English and Japanese sub. We'll see. I don't know.
Which
Maybe
they
that'll work.
did. They did do that, actually.
They did do it. Okay.
There is a version of the original Shenmue that's called US Shenmue, and it was
Yes.
re-released in Japan. Your voice, Japanese subtitles for all to enjoy, presumably.
You know, it's funny. I do remember when you mentioned the title. I do remember that now. But yeah, and then when I showed up, they gave me these binders basically of all the research and information that they did about towns and what they looked like at the time, and they talked about, well, Japan and the economy and this and that, and this is the kind of town that we're going for, and they showed me catalogs of all these research that they did. They did the same thing with the second game when they took a whole team of people to China and did research on what buildings look like and layouts of streets, and even what the bridges look like, and the little even they would have animals or just on top of the what am I trying to say, the pedestals on the side of the bridge, and they would take pictures of that, and they would say, well, in Japan we do it this way, but in China they do it that way because of this particular construction technique. And they showed me all of this stuff, and then they showed me all of the characters. They gave me a book like this thick of all the characters, and they showed their names, their background, what they do, their blood type, and
Blood type?
Yeah. To the Japanese, blood type. Well, probably a lot of you know, it's like it has a lot to do with your personality. It's kind of like asking somebody what their astrological sign is, So that's one reason why they had blood type in there, because they're like, well, he's an A or AB personality, or A plus, blood type personality or whatever. So that was kind of like, you would know how that person would react, or what, if they were shy or aggressive or whatever. So
Okay.
And then they gave me scripts, huge scripts, and instead of I would record, we had mentioned earlier where somebody would say something and I'd go, yeah.
Yes.
Instead of recording that just once, they would give me the whole script, and I would actually say it, and I would try to make it sound the same or similar, and then I would give them 4 or 5 different yas, but they would just leave it in the script there for me, and when the character would go down, and that's another thing too, something that they did do different that I haven't done since when I've done other voiceover stuff, is that usually when you go in for voiceover, you do your thing, you sit in a box, you say all of your lines, and you split, because they want you to work maybe 1 or 2 hours because they don't want you to work, 6-hour days because they would have to pay you too much. And but what they did is that I would go in there and I'd do a bunch of lines that maybe weren't so important if I was talking to people on the street or whatever the case may be. But if I had lines with characters that was in a more involved scene, they would actually bring in all of the voice actors and they'd have multiple mics set up because they had larger rooms, and we would actually do the scene together, which people don't really do. You know what I mean? First of all, it's too expensive, it's too time consuming, and it's too, you don't have you'd have to have more equipment, you have to have, like I said, a bigger studio, and you have to coordinate everything with people's schedules and time. It's just a pain in the ass, and people don't normally do that. But Shenmue, they took the time and effort to do that. And it makes such a difference when you're in a scene together and you can actually hear the guy going off of the line that you just said, and you have that live reaction, that live energy, because obviously when you're speaking to another human being and that person has certain inflections in their voice, then you kind of say your line a little differently. He's like, oh, he was really high pitched there at the end. Maybe I need to, if it's a scene where I think I need to maybe match that to bring up the energy, or maybe calm that down, or it just depends on what's going on, you know what I mean? So as an actor, it's great, obviously, to have somebody next to you, but you don't normally do that. Again, you're lucky if somebody has already been there and you get to hear their voice. So, for example, if you're doing a Japanese dub, from a Japanese animation, you're doing a dub from that. You're lucky if the person came in before you and did their lines, because then you can hear their lines and you can kind of go off that. But most of the time, you don't even get that. You just do all your lines and you're like, great, thanks, see you later, bye. But Shenmue, we got to do it together, and we did that often. You know what I mean? We did that multiple times a week. So I love that part about Shenmue, which made Shenmue really different from anything else that I've voiced. So.
Well, that's very cool. First off, from what you've told me, I guess I'm going to go ahead and turn in a resume to Sega. If they're just going to go ahead and throw an apartment and full of shit at me, then yes, that's where I want to work. Free stuff all day.
Well, it's I guess because they, for whatever reason, they wanted a couple of the main characters. I guess it was at the time it was the Shenfa character and it was me. They wanted us particularly from the United States. Now they had people in Japan that are from the States. For example, Eric Kelso, he's from California. He was born and raised. He's all American guy, but he lives in Japan now, full time doing voiceover work. And they had lots of people who did that, but for some reason they had this idea in their mind that they wanted to bring a couple of people from the States to say that they had, they brought people from the States to represent the United States, I guess, and so they wanted specifically American actors, people who lived in America to do the voiceover, and that's why they did it. And that's why they did it. That's why they had to give me so much, because I had to stay for so long. I was there for 4 months the first time and for 3 months the second time. Wow. And they just needed to give me all that stuff because I was basically living there all day every day. You know what I mean? I had to go home, cook my meals, and go to the local market. I was living there, so.
That's very awesome. That kind of kills some of my motivation, though. Don't live in the States. I'm not even qualified now. We have a question here. People have gotten onto this subject of Grand Theft Auto. Corey, they want to know, if you were offered a role in Grand Theft Auto, would you take it?
Would I take Grand Theft Auto? Yeah, I guess so. Why not?
Okay.
Even if you had to be a prostitute?
No, I want to set up a scene here. Okay, Corey, let's say it's nighttime. You've just finished a transaction with a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
You've now exited the vehicle, baseball bat in hand, and
Mm-hmm.
go.
Let's see. Um, you weren't all that great anyway, bitch.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. I want a refund.
I mean, I guess
Rockstar's
the
gonna be
thing.
calling. Calling you,
The
man.
thing is that you, as an actor, you do have to play some pretty seedy roles sometimes. You know what I mean? Like characters that you're not. You know, you're not that guy. So some people who are so ultra famous, like Tom Cruise, can just play whatever role he wants, and he's like, no, that role isn't epic enough. I'm not going to play that role. So that's fine if you're making $6 gazillion a year. You can turn down roles. You know what I mean? But as an actor, yeah, you sometimes you're offered roles and you're like, oh man, okay, so I'm the guy that takes a baseball bat to the prostitute. Wow, all right. So I guess if people have maybe their own personal like they're putting their personal morals into what they do as a living, which a lot of actors do. They're like, I mean, some people are really religious and they're like, I can't touch a woman who's not my wife, and that's happened all the time. There are some actors out there who are like, I'm sorry, I can't do a kissing scene or a love-making scene because, hey, I'm whatever evangelical and I can't touch another woman who's not my wife. Sorry. So if you're putting your own morals on your work, I guess that's your choice, but that's going to limit you. And if you're going to play a complete douchebag, you kind of just have to leave that in the studio. You know what I mean? And yeah, so sometimes you have to be the guy who beats the prostitute with the bat. And you know what? Really, it's the guy controlling the game anyway. It's his morals, not mine. So.
Yeah. Boom.
I mean, that's a 9 to 5 I can get behind. I would, at the drop of a hat, I would be that person right then and there. Yes, baseball bat, prostitute. I got it. Give me money.
You mean in like real life, you'd be the guy that beats the lady with a bat?
Like
Or
in
you
a
mean-
stage sense, I mean, I would.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure, man. I thought I knew who you were, but
We're gonna leave some of the darker parts of our personal past out of the show.
I'm sorry. We'll talk about it later.
We're not going there. This is a video game show. But no, I mean, to voice that, or hell, why not to act it out in front of cameras or whatever? Sure, because why not? That's a 9 to 5 I can get behind. I don't want to work anymore.
I mean, I talked earlier about Shakespeare, right? Well, in Shakespeare, everybody gets murdered and poisoned and raped and destroyed and killed, and it's like the only person who doesn't die in the end of I don't know, Hamlet is the butler, So it's like you gotta play some pretty crappy roles sometimes.
So in that way, GTA is very Shakespearean.
Very Shakespeare. It's like it's the modern Shakespeare.
Absolutely. You had said that the Batman stage shows, playing Descartes and everything like that. Are there any other current works you're doing that people might be able to find you in? Because I know you've done some web comics, web series tunes, all that kind of stuff. Anything?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've been doing a lot of, as you guys know, I'm doing a lot of Shenmue stuff. I'm doing a lot of promotion for Shenmue. And that's a lot of my work right now. My daughter is doing more work than I am. She just got a commercial for Big Lots, and she's doing she has her own web series actually that I'm doing as well. So,
Awesome.
So yeah.
So just the talent and the celebrity running in the family.
Yeah. I'm just helping my daughter do her stuff right now, and I've been doing a lot of Shenmue promotion. So basically, my job is Shenmue promotion at this point.
Excellent. And now people are under the impression that I'm a serial killer. Not a serial killer, people in the comment section.
It was just that one time.
Complete.
That was, sometimes I wake up middle of the night, don't know where I am.
Serial implies consistency.
But no, come on now, people. We're doing this for fun. Andrew, one of our silent partners over there. Andrew, I know you got some. I know you've got some topics that are are burning a hole in your brain.
I mean, we answered a couple of them, but let me pull up my questions here.
If anybody's a serial killer, it's fucking Andrew, man. He's a man on the edge. Look at him. He's got
Hey,
nothing to
man.
lose. His paycheck bounced.
No.
Yep, it's the truth. Times are tough indeed. But no, I keep the killing to a minimum.
We are
So.
here for you, sir. You can confide in us.
Yeah,
Okay,
I believe that face telling me that. Yeah.
One question that I got in the back of my head right now, you were talking about all those materials that they gave you. Do you still have any of that stuff?
Negative.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I was trying to think if I even had a copy of the game, and I don't. No, I don't. And in fact, I think they wanted to make sure that version of the game did not slip out.
I could see that.
Yeah, they did give me some personal things that some of the crew built up with some renderings that they had come up with themselves, but that's just like personal things that was, rather nice, and stuff from the game and memorabilia. They gave me a watch, they gave me a Shenmue watch, and
Nice.
stuff like that. But yeah, as far as the Dreamcast and all that kind of stuff, and the scripts, they try to keep that stuff kind of tight. You know what I mean? They don't want that stuff to slip out.
Okay. Another question I had was, you've got all these great fans that are like so into this game. Like, what's like the coolest thing a fan has ever done for you?
Oh man, people take their vacations just because they want to come, like, say hi. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people are like, I wanted to take a vacation and I decided on LA. Can I get your autograph? I was like, yeah, damn, man, if you're flying all the way from whatever, London, to come get my autograph, yeah, I'll give you that, But people have sent me stuff over the years. People found out that I was getting married, so they sent me and my wife a whole huge bouquet of flowers, and how they figured out where I lived, I'm not quite sure, but that's a little weird. And I get messages and stuff all the time from people, and I think that's great. I don't know if that creeps out some people, but I love my fans, and I really appreciate that stuff, And I think I don't know. I think it's great.
Yeah, I can vouch for how easy you are to get a hold of. You're on this show, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is awesome, by the way, if I'm being unclear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Last question that I wanted to ask was, during the whole recording process of like both games, what was like the one moment that stands out to you the most? That was like the best moment. It doesn't even have to be when you were actually recording or anything, but like when was like the best moment?
Let's see, best like Shenmue moment in Japan.
Well, I mean, just in general, like, yeah, it doesn't even have to be like when you were recording. Like, if you just like went out and had like a cool day or something.
Yeah. Well, you know what? As I mentioned before, actors and stuff like that can be some of the coolest people that you will ever meet on the earth. Some of them can be complete self-centered douchebags, but a lot of the times you actually ended up meeting some really cool people. And that's what happened on the Shenmue project with me, and in particular Eric Kelso. Man, he adopted me. He was like, "Hey, man, I've never had a younger brother, so you're gonna be my younger brother, all right?" I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." So he would take me out and like show me Japan, and like we would go flirt with some ladies and get some phone numbers, and then he'd take me out drinking and get me sloshed, and and then he would be like, "Hey, man, this bar closes at 2, but there's a bar right next door that opens at 2, so that's where we're going." I'm like, "Dude, no, man, no, I can't do it." And he's like, "No, this is what you do in Japan." Oh, okay, fine. So he takes me down. And in the other country, it would be a really seedy alley that you think you might die in, but in Japan, you're completely safe. And so yeah, it takes me to this like hole-in-the-wall bar. In Japan they have these bars that are kind of look like a hallway, and you have the guy behind the counter, and there's just some chairs right in front of that. And so he takes me to one of those places, and we hang out in there for another couple hours because he's like, hey, the trains stopped going, so you're not going anywhere. You can't go home. The trains have stopped. We have to wait a few more hours. Like, God. So, yeah, that kind of thing. You know, it's like the people on the project, not only the actors, but actually the people who worked on the project as well, just they're so friendly and so cool and so nice and so accommodating. Jesus, man, the Japanese people are so accommodating. If you haven't figured that out by this conversation so far, then reevaluate that. You know what I mean? Like they're just they give so many gifts, and they invite you into their home, and they're like, oh, hey, you like this piece of pottery that's an ancient artifact from my family and Japan? Well, you can have it. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't want to. No, I didn't. And then they give it to you, you know. And what are you supposed to do but accept it, you know? But
so definitely
Awesome.
getting drunk with Kelso and getting some free pottery. Definitely the highlight.
But yeah, man. I mean, the people on the project are the best. They're just the best. I don't know. I've met some really awesome people on the Shenmue project, and what can I say? They're just awesome people. Everybody.
Jim,
Yes.
this is an interesting question that we can't overlook from our dear viewer and friend Kenshiro Online.
Let her rip.
Mr. Marshall, do you own a forklift?
Do I own a forklift? But I can drive a mean forklift. All right. I don't own one because I have to do all my ridiculously crazy driving, and many times I crash them. But I can drive a mean forklift because of all those. Now there's a graveyard, or just like a whole graveyard of forklifts that are just gone now. But
Forklifts are fun as hell if you've never driven one. They're like a go-kart with a thing like a spears on the front or something. They're awesome.
well, I do know where I can get one when the zombie apocalypse happens, and that will be my Mad Max vehicle.
Oh god, I can only imagine. You could do so many great things with a forklift.
I don't want to call your judgment into question, but your zombie vehicle is going to be the one that goes like 12.5 miles per hour.
Yeah, but it can spin on a dime and start taking some heads off, and just think of how
okay.
cool it's going to look with multiple
I'm not saying you
zombies.
didn't think it out. I just wanted to interject.
It's not the
Good
fastest, but it has some offensive potential.
It's the style of the whole thing, you know?
It impels very, very well. That would be awesome. Just cruising down the street with like a shish kebab of zombies on the front of your ride. That would be pretty awesome.
Do you remember, guys, in Aliens, when Ripley got into the whole robot forklift thing?
Get away
Well,
from
that's
me,
like-
bitch.
Yeah, exactly. So, Stephen, imagine that's like if that robot was a transformer, it would be like a forklift. So that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. It's the
So
alien
Ghost-
with on wheels.
Yes.
So it's the forklift at Tim Allen's house. Is that what you're telling me?
Did you see how much damage he could do with that thing?
See?
Take out a whole city block with just a forklift. Something I have no idea. This person has asked. I believe this is directed at you, Corey. I'm not familiar with this. Does the title Frankenstein versus the creature from Blood Cove mean anything to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does.
What is
And I
it?
don't know if anybody knows that, but I think that's probably my first thing that I did when I got here into California, and it was like, shit, I need a job. I just got here. So I accepted this thing called, Frankenstein versus the creature from Blood Cove. And indeed, I was the creature from Blood Cove.
Holy
Oh,
shit.
fantastic.
Yeah.
First of all, that
and-
title hooked me already.
Yeah. Well, you will be disappointed, but that's okay.
Oh.
It seems like it's awesome. It's in black and white. There's a Frankenstein monster. There's the kind of like the creature from the Black Lagoon, right, which is the Blood Cove creature. And So it just seems like it's this awesome old-style creature feature, but it's just... I tell you what, maybe if you were to take that film, maybe we'll get some fans out there to maybe edit the film down to maybe 15 minutes or something like that. Then it might be awesome. We'll see.
Excellent. Well,
So you were in a short that inexplicably turned into a feature.
Well, no. It is a feature, but I was just saying maybe we could make it a short. It might actually be more awesome. I see. The thing is that in that one I played the creature from Blood Cove. I ended up playing the werewolf. I ended up playing a dude in a strip bar who gets his arm ripped off, and I ended up playing the ghost of Frankenstein as well. See, what happened was that
sounds like the coolest dream that I've never had in my life.
You're like the Lon Chaney of this generation. It's crazy.
Yeah. What happened was that they took a cast of my entire body, dude, from my toe to my head. Literally, they cast my entire body. So they said, well, we got this cast. Can you play this role as well? Because we could just build the prosthetics on top of what we already have. Yeah, of course. And they said, well, he's not in that scene. So, hey, could you do that role too? Yeah. And, hey, there's a scene where a guy gets his arm ripped off. Could you do that too? Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. Why not? See, the thing is that you don't see my face. The only time you see my face is when we're in the strip bar. So get my arm ripped off, and that was that. I get thrown across the table.
And if there's naked ladies, how are they going to compete? Like, you know what I mean? Like, your face or naked boobs. I'm sorry, man. I like you and everything, but I'm looking at the boobs.
Okay, I tell you what. If we could make it, instead of a feature, we'll make it a short, and it'll be probably maybe just my arm getting ripped off and the boobs, and that might make it a good film.
Okay.
I
don't know about that, but it'll do pretty good on YouTube.
All I got to say is I want to see a fight between a werewolf, the Blood Cove monster, Frankenstein's ghost, and the one-armed dude that you play all at once.
Could I take my other arm and beat people with it? You know?
Yeah.
Be your new crowning achievement. You beat someone to death with your own.
I could beat them with the wet end, and it would be also a part of the strap.
That would be excellent. Well, I know what I'm gonna Netflix now. So I'm looking for some.
Seriously, guys, do not think it's an awesome movie. Do not think it's an awesome movie. But if you want to check it out, it might actually get like another 10 people watching it. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I have to.
I was about to ask Corey, where can we see that? Because it sounds.
It is available at Amazon.com.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. It's on Amazon?
Available on Amazon.com.
Thank you, my friend.
Right. Frankenstein versus.
And you'll be interested to know that Mr. Marshall was credited as Corey J. Marshall, much like another werewolf, Michael J. Fox. There's no correlation. And Michael J. Fox beat no one with his arm, so score 1 for Marshall.
Yeah, Corey.
And I was definitely a little bit hairier than him, so I'm already mostly there. So
Corey 1, Fox 0.
All right. I'll accept that.
You're dominating at this point. Mr. Chaos, I'm going to go ahead because this is something that you, I know you want to talk about. Tell us your opinions on Sting.
Oh, Sting sucks.
Elaborate, please.
Do you want me to describe how he sucks? Does he suck on Batista? What are you asking me?
Yeah, in great detail, because you were talking about his Hall of Fame induction potential.
What does that have to do with Corey Marshall and him being a werewolf who beats people with a severed arm? You are terrible at segues. That's what. You know what? I'm going off camera now.
You're the silent partner over there. I wanted to give you something. Okay. Anyway.
I was gonna say the same thing, Jim. That's like the worst segue ever.
What do you want from me, man? I got.
Maybe he's suggesting that I need to be in the Hall of Fame. And speaking of Hall of Fame. What about Sting?
Potentially being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Okay. And Steven doesn't like, or Mr. Chaos does not like Sting.
I'm not saying I don't like Sting. What I'm saying is Sting was a character created to compete with Hulkamania. It never really worked. It played really well to a bunch of fucking hillbillies on the Superstation right after Bassmasters. You can do your own math on that.
But it played well.
I like
Yeah. And Skull plays really well on NASCAR. Are you starting to see that just because it plays well doesn't mean it's a good, healthy choice?
We're not into insulting markets here. We're just,
No, I was actually going to insult chewing tobacco anyway. It's right here on my list here.
Okay. Well, your list of things to bash in the midst of the show. Well, then, I am going to get to this question because it's obviously a troll question.
You know what? Love the trolls.
Love troll
I
questions.
heart trolls.
This one, this really, we could all speculate on it, but I think Karkmo, since you're a wrestler, there's probably a lot of locker room talk. How big is, and I quote, how big is Batista's dick?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Was that a question for me or for Mr.
Yeah,
Marshall?
we can all speculate, but you potentially have some more insight into that.
Yeah, never been in a locker room with Batista. I was in a locker room with Ken Shamrock, X-Pac, and who else was there? Carlito. Though I don't know if that works. And but we were. I mean, Batista's genitalia wasn't a thing that we were talking about, so I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I guess.
At least we know his reputation doesn't precede him. I guess is the point of that. Does anybody want to speculate? Andrew?
I'm saying like shrimp size, like.
Shrimp size?
Why are you dedicating so much time of the program to this?
Well, where did my list of shit go? I threw it out of frustration, and
You were that frustrated with Batista's genitalia that you threw your list. What is going on in this program?
I did. No, that's not it either.
I'm sorry. Did I apply the emergency brake or something?
Daddy, talk amongst yourselves. Oh, here it is.
All right. Well, anyway, let me tell you something. Jim over there, he's not very prepared. You're dropping the ball. We've got all kinds of people just standing around hoping you'll say something funny. You haven't done that, and then you made a segue about wieners.
Well,
what is wrong? What are you doing? Do you need help?
Comments right now. We got there as something about a hospital chair. I think they're talking about your chair, and it looks like you are in a hospital chair. I think they think you're disabled now. This is not anything I can use, people.
Okay, I want you to know that if I were in fact disabled, it would make it very difficult for me to keep walking off camera.
Okay.
You guys think you're paying attention, but you're not really paying attention. Corey Marshall is here, and you're worried about me being in a hospital.
Say, Corey, hey, what are some of your favorite current generation games? Are you playing on a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Wii U?
Hey, you know what, guys? Something that has happened to me, probably some people know that my daughter was born. And since then, well, let's see, right before my daughter was born, actually, my Xbox crashed. Well, the hard drive stopped working. And I hadn't been able to pick up a console since, and that has saddened me. But what I do, I do what I can, and I'm stuck with mobile games right now. So I'm all about mobile at this point. What can I say?
I think that kind of stuff usually does draw booze. It's not your fault, Corey. It's not your fault at all.
Yeah, I know.
But hey,
someone's you know what? My daughter is getting old enough now. Actually, we do have an Apple TV, and my daughter wanted the Disney Infinity, and we are playing that together now. And I said, hey, we're able to play together now. She's 6.5, but she's got a pretty good grip on everything. We have the control, and unfortunately, I'm stuck with the Apple TV remote, but maybe I'll have to get a control of my own. But so I thought that maybe it might be time now that we can get a console, and I will be, happy again to get some amazing console games that have been coming out recently, which has been really some stuff out there has been pretty mind blowing. So it's been painful for me, but now that my daughter's getting old enough, I think it might be time to get another console.
Hey Corey, I was gonna say, first of all, congratulations on your daughter. And another one, I want to give you a piece of advice. I mean, don't take it the wrong way. I'm not a parent yet, but just don't get into amiibos, okay? Just keep playing Disney Infinity and don't get into amiibos.
Okay, all right.
He's got a problem with amiibos.
Because while
he's
Karkamo
addicted.
himself is not a child in body, still has a real amiibo problem right now.
But Disney
He's
Infinity
got
is
a
okay.
child.
Right?
He's got a
Yeah,
childlike heart.
Infinity is fine. And trust me, if you're, I mean, like your daughter, like little girls probably like Princess Peach and Rosalina, and there's where lies the problem. If you want to get a Rosalina, you have to go to the gray market and stuff like that, and that's why just keep her in Disney Infinity.
All right. Well, see, right now with Disney Infinity, we are playing Star Wars, and she loves Star Wars, and we're doing the one with Ahsoka and Skywalker, and they have the one with Rey now, right? So she loves that. Maybe that'll be our next little thing. We'll see.
Okay, we've got. Okay, I think apparently some people here, Corey, are familiar with Frankenstein versus Creature
Oh
from the
man,
Black
guys, seriously, guys, really? Oh,
Some people know it. Did you co-star with Ron Jeremy?
yeah, Ron Jeremy was in that film with us for sure. Yep.
Okay, that's excellent.
Man,
And I
this
thought-
movie, like, why didn't we just talk about this movie the whole time?
That should be the subject of this whole thing. This Shenmue business that's all. I don't even care anymore. I want to know more about this production.
It sounds so much better than it is. I'm okay. To everybody out there, I think you've probably already heard me say it, but it sounds awesome. But that's what it does. It just sounds awesome. All right, and so take that for what you want. Go
Well, I'm
see it.
calling
Everyone.
right now.
Go get a copy.
This podcast, like, I'm calling it right now. We should start the Kickstarter tonight
Mhm.
for the second film, and
Yes.
just get it going, man. Like,
I
I'm
haven't
sure.
even seen it yet, but yes, part 2.
Yeah, let's do it. And this time, like, Dracula shows up and, like, some kind of bat creature and
Yes.
all kinds of stuff. Ninja
So
Turtle.
Dracula shows up and he's played by Peter North.
Yes, I think. I think
Jesus.
Universal is going to be all over this. We really got something here.
Okay,
Well,
guys,
you're
I'm sorry. I just want to make.
Gotta up their game.
I just want to make sure I'm doing this right because I'm gonna do the buy now with one click thingy on Amazon. Is it William Winkler's Frankenstein versus the Creature from the Black Cove, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
Okay, I'm so
Man,
by
I tell
that.
you what. Why don't you buy the copy and then you can stream it for everybody else to see for free? Maybe that would be the best thing to do.
Perhaps on Periscope. Right?
Well,
Senior
I want
Chaos.
to tell you guys, I just bought it.
Oh man. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
What are you so sorry for? You're going to get a royalty check for like 35 cents.
When is the viewing going to be?
Maybe 1 or 2 cents. We'll see.
Oh, that's so sad.
We should do some Mystery Science Theater 3000 style. We should do a quick.
No,
Oh,
then we're going
that'd
to
be
get it.
that'd be
William
awesome.
Winkler watch.
That would be
Hey,
great.
you know what? I'm serious. Okay, so why don't if you get a copy of that, view it, tell me what you think, and then seriously edit it. I think if you were to edit it, it might actually be a film worth maybe somebody else seeing, maybe one other person seeing.
I gotta tell you, Karkamo's editing prowess is above reproach. I'm pretty sure he could do a good job with this material.
Thank you. I just
As
bought
long-
it, and
you know
I'm
what?
gonna do a review on it.
If you could get your tongue in there, that might make it a better film.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, how many times has he
Oh,
heard
don't
that?
worry. It'll get in anywhere. Trust me.
Yeah. Karkamo, how many times have you heard that? You can get your tongue in there. This will be a
It'd be so much better.
I heard it a couple of times.
Yeah, I'll bet you have. Okay, so there are some
It wouldn't
other.
be the first time, Ron. Jeremy was upstaged by a tongue.
Oh,
Every once in a
Oh,
while, usually it's its
okay,
own.
that's right.
We have some more film titles here. I'm gonna read some of these off. Corey, if you want to own up to any of this, please do.
Okay.
Uh,
Right.
Breakfast of Terror.
Negative.
Negative. No Breakfast of Terror for Corey. The Gay Bed.
I don't know. Trying to remember if that was
Not
the
like a literal gay bed. Have you been in a feature called The Gay Bed?
negative.
Okay, so this person, I have no idea I don't know, what are you doing here? You are,
Is there anything with sailors?
um, negative, negative, no sailors yet. They said The Gay Bed, The Breakfast of Terror,
yeah, the gay bed could have sailors in it.
it very well could be.
If it were somebody's
Also,
got to find a title with sailors in it.
Sailor, you could do a guest spot on Sailor Moon.
Ooh.
Or Sailor's Moon.
Yeah, Sailor Moon. Oh, Sailor's Moon. Yes,
Sailor's Moon.
Sailor's
Right.
Moon. That does sound like an adult film title. So
That's it.
I can
That's
almost.
what
I'm gonna IMDb.
Frankenstein. Right. Okay, we got to get a copyright on that one. Hurry up.
Sailor's Moon. Okay, let's see. Somebody says that the sales of Frankenstein versus the creature have just gone up 1,000%.
Because it was
What
at zero before.
What I can't believe is all the fucking people in that comment section, they know so many goddamn things, except how to draw money, but no one brought up that Corey Marshall was in Night of the Templar with David fucking Carradine. Nobody
Yeah.
brought that up.
That's
Holy
right.
crap!
This is why you're here.
That's amazing.
I
Are
just
you on
wanted to say that out
IMDb
loud.
finding all of this?
On the internet, we're right here.
Okay. Mr. Chaos, according to the comment section, you are officially disabled now. You are also
I knew that.
dead. But then later in the
Well, yeah,
comments,
how do you think I pay for all of this?
there's a hashtag Rip Chaos, and then later it's they say now that you have rose from the dead, they're looking for a little something for you. Scrap.
Since when Stephen is the heel of the stream?
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you're prepared for next Sunday, Carcamo, you and me for the championship belt.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I can do that.
All right. This is a general question, but I'm pretty sure it's directed at you, Corey. Do you have any thoughts on anime? Do you like anime? What do you think about anime in general? Do you have some favorites? This comes from Bio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I've been an anime fan forever. I guess because when I was a kid, I lived out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and we didn't have any TV or anything like that. I mean, we had a couple of, I think we had like 3 fuzzy news channels or something like that. So some of the videos that I got, I think the one that I had was a complete ripoff from Nausicaa. They called it the Warriors of the Wind. And they stole that film and they dubbed it with their own people, and they somehow released it here in the States and somehow made some money on it. But that's I think that's the first thing that I ever had, anime, and I just watched that thing over and over and over and over and over again. And so, yeah, I love all the stuff from Studio Ghibli, and I've watched. Trying to think some of the things that I watched when I was a kid. I think it was mainly that kind of stuff. I mean, nowadays I watch what I can that streams. Everything from Attack, and they had stuff that I used to love too. I think when I was young, which of course everybody loves Akira, and also everybody loves Ghost in the Shell, but I think Ghost in the Shell is one of my all-time favorites because it answers it has a lot of the themes that I love and are familiar with, but I like the idea of complicated intrigue and politics and all that kind of stuff. I love how they've continued the Ghost in the Shell series, but what it comes down to as well is what makes us human, what is human, and what is a living thing, what deserves to be alive, what deserves to have rights, for example. If it's something that just becomes conscious, or do it is what we are. Is it what we're made out of, or is it who we are? Of course, all those questions are in Ghost in a Shell, and I love that stuff. So I think that's probably one of my all-time favorites. And I love all the new stuff that they've done as well.
I can get on board with that. Big fan of Ghost in the Shell myself, and actually it's been announced, and some casting has been announced, but they are actually there's a Ghost in the Shell live-action film already. Mm-hmm. I think almost finished with production in Japan, but there's also going to be a Hollywood production starring what's her name? Black Widow in Avengers. Scarlett Johansson. She's been cast as the lead, which is subject of some debate that should it be Scarlett Johansson? Should it be a Japanese actress? But they actually haven't announced that she's playing Kusanagi. They've announced that she's going to be the lead, but it could be anything. It could be the Puppet Master for all we know. But so totally looking forward to that. Anyway, we've been going for the better part, maybe a little over an hour and a half now, which is usually kind of our cutoff time. Corey, I'm certain that you're a fairly busy man. You probably got a night of drinking and partying, maybe ahead of you, or hanging out in your palatial Hollywood estate. So
as long as it involves a 6-year-old, I will be totally partying and drinking and doing all that stuff.
So drinking milk and playing Disney Infinity, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
Sounds like a hell of a night.
It does.
So we're going to wrap it up. Everybody in the comment section, I want to thank you all for coming out here. You've been very, very chatty this evening, and that's very great. I want to go ahead and thank all my co-hosts. First, out there in West Virginia, RPG Machine 86. Andrew, give us some parting words, because we are out.
I want to thank you, Corey, for being on the show, because it's awesome. I also want to thank all you beautiful people for watching us, and hopefully my check doesn't bounce this week.
We've all got our fingers crossed for that one, buddy. We are with you 100% because we do not need another corpse turning up in Morgantown, West Virginia, because it's getting a little hard to, come up with alibis for you.
Yeah, I know.
And new hiding places.
Yeah, exactly. Quit putting the moths down in their throats. That's giving you away.
I can't help it. It's my calling card, man.
And down in Panama City with his naughty zombie figure is the #1 pro wrestler in that great land, the Forger of Pain, Karkamo. Parting words, sir.
Well, I want to thank you people for being here, of course. I want to thank especially Corey Marshall. Thank you for granting us this honor. I played Shenmue when it first came out, and I'm pretty excited. Also, I wanna say something real quick to my Carcomaniacs that I haven't been uploading content this year because I was really freaking sick. I was in bed for 48 hours. I got a freaking weird, those tropical island viruses we only get in Panama. And but I'm almost at 100%, me. So anyway, expect content soon. And thank you for being here, guys. Thank you again.
We are all waiting with bated breath for the return of some excellent Karkamo content. And it's understandable, some of us go to school full time, some of us have multiple jobs, some of us are pro wrestlers. We can't always produce content on time, every time, but we understand, sir. And down in San Diego, California, the always warm and pleasant and fuzzy Yell Chaos.
Yes, this is Yell Chaos reminding you that a friend in need is in fact a pest. Thank you.
Excellent. And huge, massive thank you to our special guest, Corey Marshall. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody is really looking forward to Shenmue 3, and we're really excited for you. And again, just thank you for doing this. You're always really open to your fans, and it's very much appreciated. So, yeah, can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, I say this often. I want to thank all the fans out there in the world for making Shenmue 3 possible, because it wouldn't have happened without all the fans. I really think that, because when Yu Suzuki goes off and makes his own thing, I don't think he wants to go revisit a game that maybe would be good, maybe wouldn't. I think because the fans were so on top of it all the time, he just had no choice but to do Shenmue 3, no choice but to do it. And I want to thank everybody out there for being so freaking awesome. Thank you guys for everything that you do, and you guys do your podcast and you do the show, and I love that. Thank you for doing that and inviting me on, and thank all the fans for everything that they do. So I'm humbled by what you guys do. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was an honor. People look forward to Shenmue 3. Go out and have a look at Frankenstein versus the Creature of Water. I'm just going to go ahead and predict it now. You're going to be blown away. Top-notch special effects. Acting is just on a new level, bar none. You're going to love it. Potentially look for a film called The Gay Bed. I don't know. That's still kind of up in the air. But that was excellent. Again,
And Sailor's Moon.
Sailor's Moon. That's TM, by the way. That's ours now. Don't anybody mess with that. But again, thank you to all my co-hosts. Thank you to our special guest, Corey Marshall. And thank you to all of you for watching, commenting, giving us your questions, and all that great stuff. And until next time, take care, everybody. Goodbye.